back to Wargaming World and to a game of Chain of Command. For those who've been following the channel, you'll remember that this is the start of a mini campaign. The campaign is entitled The Battle for the Three Bridges. Now, the battle is ultimately for this railway bridge over the road, but we've got a number of bridges to take beforehand. And for those who want to have a look at how the game is set up and the detail of the campaign, then could I ask you just to have a quick look at the previous video, which was set up to give that in full detail. So the first of the three games is attack on an objective, which is scenario 6 of the main rulebook, and the objective is this footbridge, which we've got some French cavalry on as patrol markers. Now, just need to check the force morale, the blue dice being the French. Both very low, and both forces starting on an 8. So we've got 4 patrol markers here for the Germans, and we need to roll how many free moves they get first. Let's see how many free moves the German gets. Or Germans, I should say. 2 means that it is 2 free moves. So the patrol phase is complete, and so you'll see we've got one of the Fallschirmjäger there, one of my markers, with the French cavalry just on the road. There's then 2 more just opposite each other, just in front of the start of the gorge there. Then just move them slightly further forward. You can then see that I've got one of the figures just actually just there towards the water, and another of the Germans here just at the back, and we've got 2 of the French cavalry markers here, patrol markers I should say, of the French cavalry. Right, I need to now have a look at the jump off points. Right, so it was quite lengthy. We've got the Germans, first of all. We've got this one here in the building right at the edge of the board. Then have a second just in front of the watermill. Thirdly, a really useful one I think, just inside the watermill itself. The French, the angles didn't work quite as well, so we've got one here behind this hedge, one on the objective itself, so it's going to be this monument. There's another back here at the back of the hedges and sort of wood area. Finally, we've got one at the back in the stone wall by the road. So, as we start the game, let's have a quick think of how the Germans will approach this. If you followed the YouTube channel beforehand, the Wargaming World channel, you'll have seen how I play this. Even though it's a solo game, Chain of Command really works in terms of the unpredictability of it. So as a German player, I would use the motorcycle section and the 222 to advance as quickly as possible along this road. Now at some point we need to dismount because this is a footbridge, but we're also supported obviously by the main German squads. We've got some good angle of fire because we've now got the watermill as well, so we can support it with machine gun fire from there, and then to advance and to attack. The French are supporting this with their own platoons, so they can't afford realistically to take too many casualties. So as long as the Germans can advance and pin down the French, we can then advance and attack, taking this footbridge. So as the French defender, what are the options? Well, there's still some good angles here for the French. We've got a building over there as well as the main station to be able to fire down onto the bridge. I think they'll know that the Germans won't simply dash across it, so therefore we've got our jump off point here just next to the road, which means that we might be able to support any kind of defence. However, what we don't want to do is to put all of the 3 French different sections out there, because we need to retain some forces in order to defend the main objective, which of course ultimately is the railway bridge. We've got a Panhard 178, so that needs to come on at the road over there, and we'll see whether that can offer some kind of support during the battle. Right, okay, so on with turn 1. So we have the first phase of turn 1. It's the Germans to attack. If you remember, the Germans also had a red dice as a support option. So let's see how they go. So we've got 2 for the chain of command dice. It's wasted on the red because you can't use the 5. 6 is a waste, and so that leaves us just with a 3 and a 4. Well, although I might be a little over keen to try and get the motorcycle section out, I haven't done. With the 3 and the 4, I've got a squad in the watermill and a senior leader, and they're looking out on Overwatch, really with a MG team there in the top window. Now it's the turn of the French. So, wasted 6. But useful dice there. We've got 2 3s, a 1 and a 4. Well, although I might regret it, I can't think of many advantages for the French to deploy ahead of the Germans. Let's see where the Germans are before we do that. So it's a German phase. Waste on the red dice again, and a wasted 6. We've got a 1, 2 4s and a 5. With a 1, I've just deployed the mortar team. I don't think that's going to draw the French out, but that's the only one I have, and I thought I'd get that on the table. Back to the French again. Double phase, and we've got 1 for the chain of command dice, a 1 and a 4. Just take the double phase. I drop it down by 1 dice when we have a repeat phase, so we're down to 4 dice for the French. The same again, we've got 2 and a 3. The 3 I've brought on the Panhard and put that on Overwatch. Okay, nothing other than the Panhard. And try again. 1 and a 4 at the end of the French phase. Very much cat and mouse, so I'm not going to do anything more, and just bring the Germans up. Right, okay, that should be better. We've got a 5, so the chain of command dice goes up to 4. And then we've got a lot of deployment. Now, unlike the infantry, which have come in and are going to go on Overwatch, the 222 and the motorcycle section can come on and move straight away, and they both will do. They get 2d6 and then double the numbers. It's 2d6 because when they've come in, they've had to turn a corner to get in front of this house. So let's see how far they go. So, first of all, the 222. And that will go 6 inches in total. Now, the motorcycle section. They'll go a total of 16 inches. We've got the 222 moving further forward about 6 inches. Motorcycle section I've got a little bit further on, and as I say, the infantry behind them on Overwatch. French phase. We've got 2 more to the chain of command dice, and takes up to 3. Now we've got a 3 and 2 2s. I think the French are presented with too good a target not to miss, so they're going to fire. We can't fire with all the figures there, so we're going to fire with the machine gun team and full rifle, and so we're going to get 10 dice. They're going to fire at the motorcycle section, but there's going to be casualties which go across the other teams. French needing 5s. That looks like lots of 5s. And that's 7 hits. Right, so 7 hits right at the start of the game, and this is how it'll be split. The motorcycle section have 2 teams within it, a machine gun team and a rifle team, effectively. So they will take 4 of the 7 hits, and they'll have 2 each. Nothing goes on the 222 because it's not within 18 inches, therefore it can't be affected. And in terms of the squad behind them, they are within 4 inches, or at least the machine gun team are. And therefore they'll take all 3 of the hits there. The rifles themselves are outside of 4 inches. Let's start with the motorcycle machine gun team. That's 1 point of shock. Then the motorcycle rifle team. That's also a point of shock. Now the infantry machine gun team. That's 2 kills. We've had 2 kills, and we just need to see whether we check the leader. There is a leader. 1, 2, 3 is the junior leader. 4, 5, 6 the senior. And it's the senior. What happens to him? He's killed. That's a terrible start for the Germans, and in particular it's going to affect them all the way through this campaign. So we'll have a check at the end. So let's have a look at Bad Thing Happens. And a 4, I think, is a -2. It's a -2, so the Germans already are down to 6. Now that's going to activate the Overwatch both for this machine gun section here and for the one in the watermill. And so 8 dice needing 5s. The first one, and we've got 2 hits. One we're going to say it's hard cover because they're behind a stone wall with the machine gun firing from the watermill. We're going to say soft cover because it's just the hedge. So 5 is shock, 6 to kill. First of all, 1 dice on the machine gun team. So 2, so that's nothing. And then the rifle team, 3, it's nothing also. So from the watermill, we've got just 3 hits. So I'm electing for the French, but I'm still going to say that there's going to be 2 on the machine gun team. This time it's 4 or 5 for shock, and again there's no effect. And finally 1 on the rifle team, and no effect at all. Originally a 3 and 2 2s, so I've activated the first section with a 2, and with a 3 I'm going to fire the 25mm gun at the 222. So firing at the 222, normally it would be a 5, but it's a smaller low profile, which makes it a 7. But the command initiatives from the French leader will mean that it's down to a 6. 6 to hit. That's definitely a hit. Right, so the armour piercing is 5, the armour is 2, we need 5s and 6s. Let's see what happens. So, French has 3 hits there and none for the German. +3. What happens? We've got a 1. Well, the terrible start continues for the Germans because even though it's a 1, it's still knocked out. The only plus is that it wasn't a 5 or 6, which means it would have exploded. So I need to roll for a bad thing for a support unit being knocked out. 6 has got to be bad. Well, that really is bad. The support unit being knocked out means that it's -2 to force morale and it's down to 4. It really is a disaster because the Germans not only lose their command down to 4 dice, they lose their support with a red dice, so down to 4. Such an advantageous position. I'm going to deploy another French section with the final 2, and that's the end of the French phase. The German phase, and really need something something fortunate. We've got a double phase at least. We've got a 5, which means we have a 5 on the chain of command dice and a 4 for the senior leader. We've got a 4, so the single senior leader we have in the watermill is going to order a repeat in the firing. So we'll get the MG34 to fire out of this window and the MG34 to fire down here. Firing from the watermill first of all, needing 5s. That gives us 3 hits, 3 teams with the 25mm gun appearing. So first of all the machine gun team, there's no effect. Rifles, no effect. And the anti-tank gun, no effect. 8 again, needing 5s, looks like better numbers, and that looks like 6 hits. 2 on the machine gun team, that's 1 kill. The rifle team, that's also a kill. On the anti-tank gun, and that's a kill as well. 3 kills. Is there a leader involved? No, there isn't. There's a really tough decision to be made here by the senior leader, or by me more specifically, is whether we actually just withdraw. With only 4 dice and a single senior leader, I think it's going to be really difficult for the Germans to achieve the objective. However, we have been able to inflict 3 casualties on the French here, but if the Germans do withdraw, and it is a German phase coming up, then the problem is that it's the difference in the force morale is 4, so the French will just get all of those troops back. Okay, so I've decided to withdraw the Germans and to regroup and come back and go again. This means that the French win the first battle over the footbridge, but as we come back, the Germans will be of greater numbers, and they'll also be able to attack on a wider front either side of the gorge. Therefore, the objective for the French initially was to cause some casualties, and that's exactly what they have done. So I'm going to have some penalties for the Germans in terms of what they do for a new senior leader, and it's certainly a good finish for the French here. It also means that they might have a jump-off point in a similar position to where they have here, so they've still got all their options. But as far as this game is concerned, it's fallen very much to the French, and we need to regroup the Germans, look at some additional support points, and come back and play game 2, which is for the slightly larger bridge going across the river there, which will be battle 2 of the Battle of the Three Bridges. Now, just before we do the new patrol phase and jump off points for the second game, we need to have a look at the changes in support for both sides. In the second game, the Germans get 8 points. Now, they can keep everything that they had in the first game, however they've lost the 222, and critically they also lost the red dice. They can still keep the adjutant, but we need to have a look at what the Germans get as a change. So the first thing we're going to have for 4 points is a Stuka bombardment. Now, I know that this isn't a Stuka, but it's the model that I have. So this is going to be our first change for 4 points, and the second for 3 points is that we're also going to get an MG34 on tripod, and that has 5 crew in total, not a junior leader, which is worth pointing out. And finally, we're also going to have a change in terms of personnel. So we lost the senior leader, so we're going to do a change where we get another senior leader, which has been one of the previous junior leaders from one of the sections, and that junior is going to be replaced by one of their members of the team. Now, I'm going to penalise the Germans in that the new senior leader for this battle only is going to have 2 for their command initiatives, and also they're only going to have 6 inches in terms of range. And this character here is going to be the new junior leader, but I'm only going to say for this section is that he only has 1 command and a 3-inch radius. So for the final point for support, we've already used 7. It's why I've also picked a medic, and that medic is going to go with the first senior leader with the 3 commands and 9-inch range, and look to try and keep him in good order. So we also need to have a look at the French support, and it's fairly simple. The French get 4 points, and so what we're going to spend that on is a Hotchkiss machine gun and 5 crew, which is 4 points. Okay, so we're set up now for the second game, and I'll just point out a couple of things. The monument, which was a jump-off point in the first game, is no longer. It's simply a monument, and instead we have over here our target, which is the second bridge. You'll see we've got French cavalry there as we're preparing to do the patrol phase. Now, a reminder that our full objective is back here. It's our railway bridge. That's going to be the third game, but the second game is for this crossing of the river. Now, why will we do that? What's the reason why we're not simply repeating this one? Well, We could have the same jump-off points. We'll see what happens in the patrol phase, and the French can defend this footbridge. However, as the Germans have strengthened, they've widened their position slightly, and they've got across at the back of this watermill, and you'll see that as they start off their new positions for the patrol phase, there are some figures here so that the Germans can indeed move to either side of the gorge, and therefore the French have simply won the first battle, withdrawn a little, and they now defend this bridge over here. So before we start doing the patrol phase, we need to have a look at the Stuka attack and to see which buildings are affected. So we start with these 5 or a 6. Let's see. This one, yes, it's affected. Mill. No, it's church. Yes, it is. Building over here. That's fine. We've got the station. That's a 4, so that's 5. It's going to happen to the church. 6. So the church itself is only lightly damaged, but it's got an unexploded bomb in it, so we have to test the start of turns to see whether that actually explodes. Back here, will this affect the Germans perhaps? So we've got a 4. This building is unstable. It may collapse at the end of the term. It can be occupied, but thankfully the one thing it's not is on fire. Just to start with, let's have a look and see what the reroll is for force morale. Not better for the Germans, unfortunately, so they start at 8, the French start at 9. Very quickly, I'm just going to refer to the plan, starting with the Germans. So my idea here is to try and dash forward again with the motorcycle section up this road. Now we also have a jump-off point in front of us, so to try and get a good side of things here, there is a French jump-off point just here. But the idea for me is to try and attack on both sides, either side of the gorge with the Germans, and ultimately the Germans will have 5 squads against 3 for the French. So if they can finish this game by getting the bridge as the objective and reducing the sections perhaps down to 4 against 2, it gives a 2-to-1 advantage when we come to the third and final bridge to take. For the French, after already getting a good result first time round, I've added a jump-off point on the left-hand side just to give options to the French. Really, I'm looking to try and inflict as many casualties as possible with the Germans, perhaps get rid of 2 of their squads so that we have the best chance when we come to the final operation. That's the end of the patrol phase. So if we go from the back of the board, we can see a French cavalry. So as the first marker is next to that sort of pink tree there in front of the church, and then we have our first of the German markers, second of the French just here, and the third just at the base of the footbridge. We've then got a German marker here, and also here by the footbridge. The last of the French is here, the other side of the river, so that might be interesting about where the French set up. And finally, all the way back here is the last of the German patrol markers. So let's take a quick look at the German jump-off points. The first is here, just before the fountain, and not far away there from the footbridge. Second German jump-off point is again in here, so it's going to be useful again if you want a firing platform up at the top next to the watermill, or in the watermill I should say. And thirdly is the jump-off point here just behind the church. Those worked great for the French, so we've got one. We've got this big monument. That's the one next to the objective itself. We've got one just at the bottom here, which is on the baseline with the house. Got another one right next to the house there with some poor angles really to try and get across. But that's where we finished with those two, and finally we do have one here which is similar to where it was in the first battle, and that's the fourth jump off point. So we've got the Germans attacking, so they'll go first in the first phase of the second game. They don't have the red dice, they lost that in the last game, and so we've just got 5 dice. Let's see how we start. So straight away we've got 3 chain of command dice, a 4 and a 2. Much to do with that one, so I'm going to pass and go straight to the French. French double phase, 2 to the chain of command dice and a 4 to go with their either. So I'll go to the next phase, I drop a dice, so I've got 4 dice. It's a repeat phase, and 3 chain of command points to take us up to 5. Start for the French, passed over now to the Germans, who have a double phase and some more useful numbers in 2, 3, 4. So with the Germans getting a double phase, we're going to make a risk, a calculated risk. I've deployed the motorcycle section dismounted, so they can be 9 inches in total from the jump off point back here, and the purpose is so that they can go as quickly as they can, ideally in the next phase at the double, and close down this jump off point here. So that would be very advantageous. And I've also deployed a senior leader with them so that they can be activated on a 2, 3 or 4 on the next roll. So we'll take the risk there. On the other side, also use the 3 to deploy this squad as well, so we can try and start to get the Germans moving on both flanks. Of course, the benefit of getting a double phase really depends on how well we roll here. So let's see. And we've got a 2, a 4, a 3 and a 5. So that means the jump off point, sorry, I beg your pardon, the chain of command dice goes up to 4 for the Germans, and we've got 2, 3, 4 to be activated. Okay, so we're going to use the 3 and the 4 here. We're going to move via the junior leader at the double, and then the senior leader is going to go with them and take off the 2 points of shock, 1 for each team. Now the distance between here and the jump off point is 14 inches, so we need to get 10 inches, which on 3 dice would be average dice, to get there to close the jump off point from it. So let's see how we go. Do they get near enough? No, they don't. They fall short. Well, I can't have that unit completely isolated, so with the 2 I'm bringing in a new squad just behind them, just next to this footbridge. So it's now the French phase, and we have a 5, so we've got a full chain of command dice there, 2 4s and a 3. Now I'm going to bring a Panhard on, but obviously we've had the Stuka attack, so I need to see whether it will come on at all. So 1, 2, 3, it won't come on. 4, 5, 6, it will. And it will. And it's going to fire its coax machine gun at the Germans here at the motorcycle section, needing 5s. 6 dice needing 5s. And that's 3 hits. Okay, that's 3 hits, so we're going to have 1 on the machine gun team, 2 on the rifles. The black dice is the machine gun team. That's 1 kill amongst the rifle team. Now, let's test, is it the leader? No, it isn't. I'm not bringing on a senior leader for the French, so that turns to a German phase. And some good options there. We've got a 1, 2 3s and 2 4s. Now, this senior leader is going to order the machine gun team to move tactically into a firing position, and the rifle section to move up to the French jump-off point. Now, I could do that, or try to do that, with them moving tactically, but I think they're just too far away. So I'm going to roll 2d6, puts them a bit of risk to be fired on, but it's going to be worth it to get that jump-off point. So rifle section moving, 2d6, and that's 8 inches, so that closes off that jump off point. And that's the final position. With the 3 here, I can't move this squad at the double, but it can move 2d6 as just a standard move. Too much hedgerow, etc. For it to be moving at the double, so I'll do 2d6, 3 inches. With a 1, I've got a tripod machine gun. It's up in that top window, but I've just got it out there just to show and remind myself really that machine gun is there. With a 4, I've brought on a second senior leader, and that leaves me with a 3, so I'm going to bring on another squad here, and also the senior leader is going to order this squad to move up across the bridge, not at the double, and also not tactical. I want to see if we can get some distance. So 2d6 across the bridge, 6 inches. With the final order, the senior leader puts this unit on Overwatch. So now it's the French phase. So we've got 1 to the chain of command dice, so it's the start-up of the next one, and then we've got a 1, 2, 3 and a 4. So although we've got a decent roll in terms 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm actually going to end the turn with the full chain of command dice, which means we're not going to take the impact of what we've got for shock, etc. with the infantry. I will need to take a bad thing in terms of the loss of the jump off point up here. However, it's the lesser of 2 evils. So the loss of a jump off point, that's a 2, which I think is a -1. Yeah, that's a -1, so the French are down to 8. That means both the French and the Germans are on 8 for force morale as we move to turn 2. Now, as it's the end of the turn, we've also got to check our 2 buildings. First one is the church, which has the unexploded bomb in it, and to see whether that explodes. So we need to roll and see if we get a 6. So let's have a look. No, we don't. And we also have an unstable building here, so let's see what the consequence is. Nothing at all at the end of this turn. And the German phase. So 5 to add to their chain of command dice, and 2 3s and a 4. We've got a 4 and 2 3s, so the senior leader here is first of all going to use 2 commands. The first one is to order the unit that are on the bridge there to move at the double, and the one down here just to move normally 2d6 up onto the bridge and replace the ones that are moving at the double. So let's start with the ones at the double, and they move a total of 9 inches. Now they've moved at the double, and so we should have a point of shock with each, but with the 3 I'm going to take the 2 points of shock off from the junior leader here. So this unit now moving 2d6, 7 inches. Now I do have another point, a command with the senior leader. I was tempted to bring on another unit down by the bridge where the other 2 units have moved forward, but I don't think I'll do that. I think instead I'm going to use the 3 to move this unit forward. Just 2d6, they can't go at the double because of all the hedgerows, etc., so it's not clear. But just 2d6 here. Oh, they're moving really slowly, just 4 inches. Well, I'm trying to get the troops to move in a coordinated way to get across to this target bridge, but the unit just by the church here is moving so slowly. It means that there's a possibility of having a sequence of the French firing at separate units at a time. Anyway, let's have a look and see how the French go. It's their phase. Okay, that's a wasted 6, a 5, the chain of command dice, which I think takes it on to 2, and a 2, 3, 4. So we've got a 4, a 3 and a 2, and you'll just see with the 4 we've got a senior leader entering this building. We've also got 2 units out here with a 2 and the 3. I can't fire the Panhard because in order for the 2 units to be activated, that's going to take up the 2 and the 3. So
They've appeared and they're certainly going to fire at the Germans coming across on the bridge. So starting here, I'm going to say there's only going to be 9 dice that can be used, with the men actually being visible of the Germans. So this is the target here. They're all in the open, but let's start with 5s, which is what they need to hit. It looks like 3 hits. Apologies, actually. That's 4 hits. So we're going to have 1 on the rifle team, 2 on the machine gun team of this unit, and the machine gun team of the unit in front is also near, so we'll include them too. So rifle team in the open. So 3, it's a point of shot. Machine gun team in the open. That's 2 kills. 1 from the machine gun team in the open. That's a point of shot. 2 killed. Check the leader. No, it isn't. Now for the second unit, everybody can fire. They've all got targets, so we've got 15 dice in total. So the French are firing at this target, needing 5s. 15 dice. So that's 6 hits, so we're going to have 2 on the machine gun team, 2 on the rifle team, and 2 on the machine gun team that's on the bridge from the second section that were hit a moment ago. Let's start with this machine gun team that lost 2 men. Again, it's in the open. And 2 points of shock. So 2 on the machine gun team of the target, which has 1 point of shock already. That's 2 kills. And the 2 rifles. 1 kill and 1 point of, 1 kill, that's all. With 3 casualties going over the bridge. Let's see if it's a leader. No, it isn't. Well, I guess it could have been worse, but those are some very heavy casualties to start off with from the French. So we're over to the Germans. German phase. 2 2s, 3, and 2 5s with the chain of command dice, taking it up to 4. I realise I'm talking rubbish with the chain of command dice. Actually, the 2 points there take it to 1 full chain of command dice and 1 to start off a second one. So, what do we do with the 2 2s and the 3? Not a great situation for the Germans, but I'm going to take, with the junior leader with the 3, take a point of shock off this team and then move them at the double. With the 2, I'm going to move this unit tactically into some soft cover and off the table. Hopefully we don't roll a 1. And then with this one, if they can move, is to move this forward again and just try and get forward. It moved terribly slowly. Let's start with this one moving tactically. Just 1d6, 3 inches. Yeah, that's okay. That's moved into some soft cover and also moving tactically, so they'll get some protection there. So back here, how far does this unit move? Just 2d6. It's a little better, 6 inches. I've changed my mind here. I've taken a point of shock off, and I'm going to move them off the bridge this way. I know it's the wrong side of the river, but they'd be better moving tactically, getting some kind of cover. Otherwise they're going to get absolutely hammered, I think. And although this is quite risky in itself, if I move them off the bridge, they could offer some kind of supporting fire along with the other unit here firing at the French, so we'd have 2 units firing, whilst in total I can get 3 units. I know I've got 2 here, but I've got 1 off board to look and get across the bridge. So I think that's going to be the strategy, and let's get them moved off the table. Right, so 1d6 moving tactically towards that hedge and the other unit, the other machine gun team. 5 inches, that's very helpful. Well, that's a good outcome, I think. They've moved off the bridge. You can still be fired at by the French, but now under better cover and hopefully less casualties. French phase. 1 to the chain of command dice, taking it to 3, and then 2 1s, a 3 and a 4. With the 4, the senior leader can get both the infantry units to fire. With the 2, I've brought on a VB team to fire, and with the 3, we're going to fire with the Panhard. The Panhard is firing at this rifle section, although it's still within 4 inches of the machine guns in terms of casualties, but that's its first target. 5s to hit, 6 dice. And that's 4 hits. So, The rifles didn't move, so that's tactical, and they're also behind soft cover, so it's going to be 5 for shock, 6 to kill. 1 point of shock, and on the machine gun team, again a point of shock for them. So the VB unit are going to fire at the same target. You only get 4 dice rather than 8 to start off with because it's their first fire, and it'll still mean it'll impact the machine gun team as well. So let's see how we go, needing 5s. 5s to hit, that's 2 hits. It reduces cover by 1 as HE, so rifles. So that is a point of shock, and the machine gun team, nothing. Just put a 1 there as well, just to note that it's the first of their 4 rounds.
Now I'm going to say that the French infantry at the back of the bridge there, all of them are in line of sight of firing at the rifle team here, so they will.
So that means it's 15 dice needing 5s, and that's 6 hits, so it's going to be 6 on the 3 on the rifle team and 3 on the machine gun team. 5 for shock, 6 to kill. Rifle team first. That's 2 points of shock and 1 kill. And the machine gun team, that's nothing at all. Just need to check, is it a leader? No, it isn't.
And finally, this unit are going to fire. They're going to fire again at this unit. Now they move tactically, they're in soft cover, there's a bit of move for the bank, so the French can see it as a unit, but it's going to be 5s to hit, and then it's going to be essentially hard cover, so it's going to be 5 for shock, 6 to kill, but it's still 15 dice.
Okay, 15 dice needing 5s. That's 7 hits, so we're going to have 4 on the rifle team, 3 on the machine gun team. 5 for shock, 6 to kill. That gives us 1 point of shock on the machine gun team. And we've got a point of shock, so that takes their shock I think up to 2, but we've also got a kill. Let's check if it's the leader. It is the leader. So what happens to the junior leader? He's knocked out until the end of the turn. And so, that's going to be a bad thing. I do have a full chain of command dice, so I could miss it, but I'm not going to because I do have a plan for a better use of that chain of command dice, so let's see how we go. Well, it's a 1, so that's nothing. So we'd have been wasting the chain of command dice. Now, to get these Germans up and running, let's make sure we get a double phase here. No, just a wasted 6. So a 2, a 3, and 2 4s. This is going to be a very creative German phase. So with a 4, I'm going to use the senior leader who's here. So we've got 2 commands there. So just hold that thought. And with the senior leader here, we've got a 4. And what I'm going to do is he's going to get in this boat. And he's going to row across the water here. He can't do it all in one go, so we're going to have a single phase where he's getting into the boat. And if you look in the 1940 Blitzkrieg rules, using boats we then get 2d6 minus the lower number to see whether he can get across to the other side, whether it takes him 1 or 2 phases, and once he's on the other side he can do orders in subsequent phases, but he will also have to make a move to get out. So it's a bit creative, but that boat's always been there, so why not do it? Then I'm going to use the chain of command dice that I've got for the Germans, and I'm going to move this jump off point to 6 inches behind this unit, so I'm going to move that, and then I'm also going to bring on a medic so we can get this junior leader back up and running. So I've got the medic over here, and I've used the 2 to get here, and so that's the final German unit deployed in terms of the full squad. We've still got a mortar team I think to come out. And so with the senior leader we're going to have 2d6 to get into that boat. Just don't roll a double 1 I guess, be able to get there, or no problem. That's no problem, he's got into the boat, so he'll need to start rowing next phase. So we've got 2 command initiatives with the senior leader here. One is going to be spent adding an individual rifleman to the machine gun team of this squad, and the second order he's going to order the machine gun team of this unit here to fire at the French who are just beyond that bridge. So, firing, 8 dice needing 5s. Nobody hits. That's the end of the German phase. Oh, we've got an interesting point in the game. We've got almost all of the Germans deployed. I think we've just got a mortar team to come out. We've got a total of 5 squads. 2 are firing and supporting from the right hand side of the river, and we've got 3 trying to attack and take this bridge. We've got the ingenious idea of the senior leader taking to a boat, and therefore he can command the attack on the left hand side. French, however, still in a very strong position. We've got 2 units out there, pan-hard. We could deploy a 3rd if we want, as well as we're firing from the VB unit. So let's see how the French go in their next phase. And 1 for the chain of command dice, taking it to 4, and a 1-3-4.
We've got a senior leader in this particular building. You just see him looking down on him here. Now I'm going to move him. He's going to have 1 order out the window, so he's going to shout an order to this unit to fire. Then he's going to move to the right hand side, because in his place there we've rolled a 1, and we're going to be able to set up a Hotchkiss machine gun.
Now, so that the senior leader moves sufficiently out the way and the Hotchkiss can actually set up, I'm just going to roll. If we get a 1, well, let's just roll and let's see what happens. No, he moves sufficiently quickly out the way to the next window. He's only going to do that particular command, but the Hotchkiss can set up, no problem.
So this is where we are now. There's 5 with the Hotchkiss team. It doesn't have a junior leader, but it'll be commanded effectively either on a 1 or a 4 when the senior leader is rolled, and we will fire with the Hotchkiss as well when we do the firing in a moment.
We'll start with the Hotchkiss. It's 9 dice and it's firing down on this unit in the open. 5s to hit. And that looks like 3 hits in the open, so I'm going to choose that I'm going to fire 2 on the machine gun team, 1 on the rifles. That is a point of shock on the machine gun to check whether they're within 4 inches of another unit, but they aren't, so that's fine. And we've got a kill in the rifles. And is it the leader? No, it isn't.
With the 3, we're going to fire 15 dice, and we're going to fire again at the same target, which is this one. We have, because we are tactical and soft cover, etc., it's going to be 5 shock, 6 to kill. Once we work out how many hit, it's 15 dice needing 5s.
Okay, so 15 needing 5s. 7 hits. So we're going to have 4 on the rifles, 3 on the machine gun team. 4 on the rifles. We've got 1 point of shock on the machine gun team. It's a kill. Just need to check if that's the leader. No, it isn't. Right, so that changes over to the Germans. The Germans seem very uncoordinated, but let's see how this roll goes. Oh, not a very good one. That 6 is pretty useless. Oh, it's very useless. Then we have 1, 2 2s and a 3. Crazy as this might seem, I'm going to take the 1 and the 3, and I'm going to try to get the senior leader to row across this small river so we can start using some orders. So it's going to be 2d6 with reducing the lowest dice. See if the green dice can bring some luck. Not really, it's only 3 inches. Unfortunately, with the 3, he's still got his back to the troops and he's only halfway through, so no, he's not near enough, and that's not close enough, I'm afraid. With the 2 2s, I just need to get these units as close to the bridge as possible and to get them moving at the double. First of all, this unit who've just been fired at, 3d6. That's 9 inches. Second unit, They'll go 12 in total. In the end I could only go 8 inches there because we had a point of shock on it. So I've now got a point of shock on each of the units in the second squad, and then 2 on one of them in the unit moving further forward. There's lots of shock within the Germans, so I need to double check who has what, which I'll just put when I edit the video. It'll come up here on the screen. I'll tell who's got what there. But either way, the Germans are advancing towards the bridge, but unfortunately it's now the French phase, and well, it doesn't seem a very strong position at all for the Germans. And what seems to be quite a ridiculous measure is that the senior leader is still rowing to try and get across to the other side. French phase. Lots of good numbers. 4, 2 1s, a 2 and a 3. So we've got some good numbers again. So with a 4, the senior leader is going to order this unit at the front to fire. I think the targets are going to be across here. He's also going to order the Hotchkiss machine gun fire out the window. It's going to now be in a more advantageous target. Here we've got 2 units close, but they're now within a relatively close distance, so it's going to be 4s to hit rather than 5s. We've got a 3, so the Panhard again is going to fire over in this direction towards the units here. And finally we've got 2 1s, so we can fire with the VB team again, and we can also fire with the full unit with a 2, so everything firing really from the French. Hotchkiss, 9 dice needing 4s. And that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 4 teams over there, so we've got 1 for each of the teams, and then I'll have an extra 1 on the machine gun team at the front. So we've got the machine gun team at the front, in the open, a kill and a point of shock. We've then got the rifle team with it, point of shock. We've then got the machine gun team of the unit behind it, point of shock. And we've also got behind with it is a rifle team, and that's a kill. We've got 2 kills. Any leaders? No, it's not. Let's do the Panhard at this unit, needing 5s with 6 dice. And we've got 3 hits. Choice. So I'm going to pick 2 for the machine gun team, 1 for the rifles. And it's nothing for the machine gun team, so we've got 1 for the rifles, and it's nothing because they're in soft cover but also tactical because they haven't moved or fired, therefore nothing. Fire the VB team, this time it's 8 dice, needing 5s, and that's 3 hits. Beg your pardon, it's 4 hits. 2 on the rifles first, we've got a kill, machine gun. We've got 2 points of shock. Is that kill a leader? No, it isn't. Across these 2 teams we've now got 7 shock and 7 men, so just 1 more point of shock will have them as pinned. Here we've got 15 firing at the same unit once again, which is this one. We've got 5s to hit, and it'll be 5 for shock, 6 to kill. Needing 5s. Just 4 hits this time. 2 on the machine gun team. That's 1 point of shock. 2 on the rifle team. That's nothing. And finally, everybody's going to fire here at this unit, see if we can get it pinned. 15 needing 5s. What have we got here? It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. 3 on the rifles. That's a kill. 2 on the machine gun team. And a point of shock. Is it the leader? No, it isn't. That squad is now pinned, and we're over to the Germans. Right at that stage, I'm going to stop. I'm going to call the Germans back. They're going to withdraw. This has been a terribly poorly coordinated attack by myself with the Germans. I haven't been able to put any kind of fire onto the French, and certainly if I attack over the bridge here, the French, although they'll take casualties there, they can add in a third unit if they wish. They can bring on another section from their jump-off point, and they'll just get nowhere. The Germans have taken a lot of casualties as well, and so I'm going to pause it here. Now the third of the 3 games is the attack on this bridge. Now this railway bridge, I think, is going to it's going to be a good game. We've also got you know, the road underneath, as well as this raised platform area. But in front of it, we have this area of barbed wire and mines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the pioneers, and so I'm going to increase the number of support points that we can use. I was going to have it 8, or in this game I had it 8 for the Germans and 4 for the French. I'm going to just repeat that. So I'm going to bring in a pioneer squad, some rifles with it, and also an extra couple of points, which I might use on an anti-tank rifle, I think, for the Germans. It gives the French another 4 points, so we'll do that to balance it out in this attack-defend kind of game. In addition, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the table further up. I was going to do it just on this table, but I don't think there's enough room really. So what I'm going to do is essentially, where we have the footbridge here, I'm going to have that almost as the marker here on the left hand side. So I'm going to remove the watermill and the church, etc., and add on another 3 or 4 foot beyond the railway station and the railway bridge, in order that we can have more depth to the game as we play the third one. So I hope you've enjoyed the game. I'm sorry we haven't been able to get to any hand-to-hand fighting. I know we've had a bit of creativity with the senior leader trying to row across the river here, but to no avail. So out of the Battle of the Three Bridges, the first 2 games have both gone to the French, and let's see what happens in the next game. Finally, just say thanks very much for watching, and if you want to subscribe to the YouTube channel for Wargaming World, then that would be great, and perhaps you might be the 800th. We're just short of that at the point of filming, so if that's the case, then thanks very much for joining, and we'll see you next time.